The stars above were quiet. No war, no sound, just silence. Rain sat alone in his old metal chair, outside his small shack. The junkyard stretched around him like a graveyard of broken machines. Old ships, rusted robots, and forgotten tech lay in piles, collecting dust and time. He sipped his tea, his hands shaking a little. He was a war veteran. Too many battles. Too many ghosts. He didn't talk to people anymore. He didn't need to. The machines didn't lie. The silence didn't judge. But tonight, something felt different. The radio on his table made a strange sound. Not music, not static. It was like ... a whisper. Soft, broken, full of pain. RRRR ... UUN ... Rain froze. He tapped the radio. The voice came again, slower this time. Rue ... UUN ... help, please ... double quotes. The voice was not human. It was deep, like it came from inside a machine, but there was fear in it. Rain stood up slowly, grabbed his flashlight, and looked around. The wind was low. The junk was still, but the air felt ... heavy. He followed the sound. The whisper became louder. The path took him deep into the back of the yard, a place he had not visited in years. And there it was, half buried under rusted metal and broken parts, was something strange, a creature, or maybe a machine. Its body was black and silver, shaped like a big cat. But not a normal one. It was larger, older, damaged. One of its legs was missing. Parts of its body were metal, but its skin was rough like stone. Its eyes were closed. It looked dead, but then it moved. Rain stepped back, his heart pounding. The creature slowly opened its eyes. Bright green. Glowing. Alive. It didn't attack. It didn't growl. It just stared at him. Rain spoke. What ... are you? The creature didn't answer. But something entered Rain's mind. A feeling. A memory that wasn't his. Fire. Screaming. A broken ship falling from the sky. Rain fell to his knees, breathing hard. The connection broke. The creature's mouth opened slightly. It spoke in a broken, metallic voice. Run ... coming ... Rain looked around. Who's coming? But the creature passed out. Rain stared at it. His old soldier mind started thinking fast. If this thing was warning him, then danger was near. He dragged the creature out from the metal and covered it with a dirty blanket. It was heavy, but Rain was strong. He pulled it back to his shack, bit by bit. Every few minutes, the creature muttered strange words in a language Rain couldn't understand. Inside the shack, Rain placed it near the old heater. He looked at its body. Wires, burns, scars. It had been through hell. Just like him. He opened a storage box and took out an old repair kit. He didn't know what this creature was, but it was alive, and it needed help. As he began to patch the torn wires and clean the wounds, the radio buzzed again. But this time, it wasn't a whisper. It was a sharp, loud signal. Like a scan. A beep ... then silence. Rain froze. He looked at the creature. Its eyes opened again. They ... found me, it said. Rain walked to the door and looked up at the sky. There, in the distance, a red light blinked. Not a star. A drone ... Something was watching. Rain turned to the creature. Who are they? The alien blinked. Hunters. They want the code ... inside me. Rain didn't understand, but he knew one thing. He was now part of something big, something dangerous. And he had to make a choice. Leave the creature and save himself. Or fight again, like the old days. He looked at his metal arm. A gift from war. A curse, maybe. He sighed. All right, cat, he said. Let's fix you. And then, we run. Rain couldn't sleep. Outside, the stars blinked like old wounds in the sky. Inside the shack, the strange creature, half metal, half beast, lay on the floor, breathing slow but heavy. He had cleaned its wounds, fixed what he could. But some parts were beyond his hands. Parts no human had built. The creature had told him only one word before passing out again. Code. But what code? And why were hunters chasing it? Rain sat at the edge of his bed, looking at the old photo in his hand. A picture of his squad. Taken years ago, before everything burned. Faces full of hope. All gone now. Buried in war. He placed the photo back inside a box filled with war medals, old bullets, and one rusted dog tag. He shut the lid. Some things are better left buried. A sudden noise broke the silence. A growl. Low and painful. Rain turned quickly. The creature was awake. Its eyes glowed again. But this time, softer, less afraid. It tried to stand, but its legs shook and gave out. Rain stepped forward. Easy. You're safe here. The creature looked at him, head tilted. Why? Help. Rain paused. Because you're not the only one who was left behind. The creature blinked slowly. Its voice was still broken. You, soldier. Rain nodded long time ago. The alien lowered its head. Me too. Rain stared. You fought. The creature looked up at the ceiling. We protected. My kind. We're guardians. But we were hunted. Betrayed. Rain sat down near it. What's your name? Durak. Rain repeated it slowly. Durak the alien gave a small nod. Why were you in my junkyard? Crash. Long ago. Hid myself. Slept for many years. Rain tried to understand. Why now? Why wake up now? Durak pointed weakly to its chest. The code. Waking up. It sends signal. I can't stop it. Rain stood and walked to the window. The red blinking light in the sky was gone. But he knew it would be back. They're tracking you. Yes, Durak said. If they find me, they erased everything. Rain turned. What's in the code? Durak hesitated. Truth, memory, evidence. The humans helped in the war. Then betrayed us. Your leaders made secret deals. Rain's face turned cold. That's a big thing to say. Your war was not just your war, Durak said. You only saw what they showed you. Rain felt something heavy in his chest. A truth he didn't want to believe. But his memories, the strange missions, the silence after victory, the orders to forget it, made too much sense. I need to see it, Rain said. Durak's chest opened slightly, revealing a soft blue light, like a small star. Floating inside was a silver orb, spinning slowly. It pulsed with energy. This is the code, Durak said. But only a living being can unlock it. I chose you. Me. Why? You are broken, Durak said. Like me. But you didn't give up. Rain laughed dryly. Maybe I just don't know how to quit. Suddenly, the ground shook. A deep hum echoed outside. Rain grabbed his old rifle and opened the door slowly. Above. A black drone hovered, scanning the shack with red light. They found us, Rain whispered. He ran back inside. We move now. I can't run, Durak said, but maybe I can fly. Rain looked confused. Durak pressed something on his side. A signal went out. From the distance, a strange sound rose from the junkyard. Metal moving. Engines. Waking Rain ran outside and saw something unbelievable. A hidden platform, deep under the junkyard, rose from the ground. It carried a ship, rusted, dented, but still alive. It looked like no human ship. Rain's eyes widened. You buried a ship here. Durak nodded weakly. I was dying. I didn't want them to find it. Rain helped him up. Can you fly? It only with help. Rain gave a small smile. Then let's wake it up together. They reached the ship as lasers from the sky began to strike nearby. The drone was calling others. Time was running out. Rain pressed his hand on the ship's door. It scanned him, paused, then opened slowly. Inside, the lights came on. The ship was old, but it responded to Durak's voice. Let's go, Rain said. As the engines roared and the ship lifted into the sky. Durak spoke one last line. They will chase us now. Until the end. Rain looked ahead. Then we make the end. Count. Space was cold, silent, and endless. But inside the ship, Rain felt heat. Not from the engines, but from something deeper. Truth was burning its way into his mind. He sat in the pilot's seat, staring at the stars, while Durak lay on the floor. Near the back of the ship, the alien's wounds were still healing. Its breath was slow, mechanical. Rain looked down at his shaking hands. He hadn't flown a ship in years. Not since the war. And this wasn't a normal ship. Its buttons were strange, soft to the touch, and they pulsed like a heartbeat. Like the ship was alive. Durak opened his eyes. You fly, like soldier. Rain gave a dry smile. I crash better than I fly. The alien tried to sit up. They will not stop. They want what I carry. Rain turned around. You keep saying that. The code, the message, the truth. But what exactly is it? Durak stared at the glowing orb inside his chest. It is a memory. Not mine. Not yours. It belongs to the first. Rain raised an eyebrow. The first what? The first human. To betray us. Silence. Rain's stomach turned. His mind raced. A memory hit him. A mission years ago. His squad was told to destroy an alien outpost. No reason. No proof. Just orders, and they followed. He stood up and walked toward Dirac. Are you saying that war was started by us? Dirac nodded slowly. Your leaders feared our kind. We were strong. We remembered too much. Rain clenched his jaw. What's in that code? Dirac answered softly. The names, the orders, the recordings. If we show it, your world may fall. Rain leaned against the wall, breathing hard. Then why give it to me? Because you chose to save me, Dirac said. Not all humans would. Before Rain could answer, the ship beeped. A new signal flashed on the screen. Coordinates. A location. What's this? Rain asked. The ship found something, Dirac said. Another part of the message. We must go. Rain looked at the screen. The place was far, an abandoned orbital station near Saturn's rings. Dead for years. Why there? Dirac said one word. Proof. Rain changed course. As the ship jumped through dark space, a shadow followed. Silent. Cold. Watching. Hours later. The ship approached the station. It floated like a ghost in space. Lights dead. Doors sealed. Silence all around. Rain docked slowly. Inside, the air was dry and dusty. Broken screens. Burnt walls. Signs of a battle, long ago. But there was something else. Rain shined his light on the floor. A claw mark. Huge, deep, and fresh. Someone's here, he whispered. Dirac looked around. Not someone. Something. Suddenly, the lights flickered, and a voice echoed through the walls. Soft, childlike. Welcome back, Guardian Dirac. Rain jumped. What was that? Dirac stepped forward. The station remembers me. The doors opened on their own. A hallway lit up ahead. They followed it. At the end was a chamber. Inside, floating in the middle, was a black sphere, cold, smooth, and humming with power. Dirac touched it. The lights turned red. From the shadows. Something moved, a shape, a metal panther, just like Dirac, but different. Sleeker, colder, eyes glowing red. Rayn raised his weapon. Friend of yours? Dirac growled. No, one of the fallen. The panther hissed. You broke the code. Dirac, it said in a deep, robotic voice. You woke the past. Now you must be erased. Rain fired. The bullet bounced off its armor. The panther leaped. Rain dodged and hit the ground hard. Dirac jumped forward. Claws out. The two aliens clashed. Metal against metal. Sparks flew. Growls echoed. Rain pulled a wire from the wall and stabbed it into the floor. Electric surge. The room shook. The enemy panther screamed. Sparks flying from its body. And then collapsed. Smoke filled the air. Dirac stood over it, breathing hard. It was once like me, he said. But they took its mind. Rain stared. Who's they? Dirac looked at him. Your people. The ones in the shadows. The ones who started the war. And never ended it. Rain walked over to the black sphere. This thing. Does it have the full message? Dirac nodded. This is part 2. When all parts are joined, the truth will scream across the stars. Rain turned to him. And what happens after that? Dirac didn't answer, but Rain could feel it. War. Not just ships and guns. A war of truth. A war of memory. As they left the station, Rain knew one thing. This wasn't just a rescue. It was a rebellion. Asterisk. The junkyard was never just a junkyard. It slept under dirt, silence, and secrets. A place where machines came to die. But deep below the rust and broken ships, something old had been waiting. Now, it was waking up. Rain landed. The ship at the edge of the junkyard, just before sunrise. The sky was orange, the air heavy with dust. Birds had stopped singing. The wind was still. He stepped out, boots crunching on dry metal. The ship hissed as it powered down. Behind him, Dirac limped down the ramp, weak but alert. Rain looked around. You sure the final key is buried here? Dirac nodded. I hid it here. A long time ago, before the hunters came. Rain frowned. But you were unconscious for years. Dirac pointed to his head. My body slept. But my mind left trails. Rain followed as Dirac led him through piles of broken tech. This was Rain's home, but now it felt alien. Like something ancient was watching. They stopped at a large hill of junk. To Rain, it looked like just another trash mound. But Dirac touched a twisted piece of metal and whispered something in his own language. The ground shook. The hill split open down the middle with a deep, groaning sound. Inside was a black tunnel hidden for decades. Rain stared. You buried it under my feet this whole time. No one looks at what they step on, Dirac said. They entered the tunnel. It was dark, cold, and filled with echoes. not voices, but mechanical breathing, like old machines dreaming. At the end was a chamber. In the center stood something strange. A metal pillar, cracked and glowing with faint blue light. On top sat a helmet. Not human, not alien, something between. Dirac bowed his head. This is the mind key. It holds the last part of the truth. Rain stepped closer. The helmet pulsed softly, like a heartbeat. You going to wear it? Rain asked. No, Dirac said. You are. Rain laughed once. Bitter. I'm not special. Dirac looked at him. You are human. The truth must start with one of your kind. Rain reached out and picked up the helmet. It was surprisingly light. It buzzed in his hands, like it was alive. He hesitated, then put it on. Flash Rain's vision turned white. Then memories, not his. Thousands of voices, screams, talks, between Earth's generals and alien traders. Money, promises, betrayal, then a name. A name he knew from his past. His commander, Kinid al-Sidus. The voice echoed. Clean the crash sites, kill everything. No survivors. If anyone asks, it was Rain pulled off the helmet and fell to the ground. Gasping, he looked up at Dirac. They lied. The whole war. It was planned. Yes, Dirac said, but the truth alone is not enough. You must show the galaxy. Suddenly, a sound above. Engines. Then, a flash of light. The ceiling exploded. Hunters dropped in, wearing black armor, guns ready. A voice shouted, give us the code, or die. Rain grabbed the helmet and ran behind cover. Dirac moved in front of him, claws out. But before the hunters could fire, the ground beneath them started shaking again. Boom! The walls cracked. The junkyard above began to rise, not explode, but literally lift off the ground. Rain peeked outside the tunnel. A massive structure was rising from beneath the yard, shaped like a ring, glowing with ancient power. A hidden machine city, long buried. Dirac smiled. I left more than metal here. The rising platform fired energy pulses into the sky. The hunters screamed, caught off guard. One ship exploded mid-air. Rain shouted, what is this place? Dirac stood tall. This was once a station. I crashed it here, buried it, and waited. Now it wakes for war. Rain looked up as the full structure emerged. Like a rising beast of forgotten power, they ran back to the ship. As they flew upward, they saw the junkyard from above, now fully transformed into a metal fortress. Towers blinking with blue lights, guns aiming at the sky. Rain whispered, this was under my home. Dirac replied, home is where we hide what we fear, and what we need. Behind them, more hunter ships arrived. Rain gripped the controls. Let's make them fear it. The sky turned to fire. The battle had begun. Betrayal always wears a friendly face. That sentence echoed in Rain's head like a broken song as he sat inside the silent ship. Space outside was dark, empty. But his mind was burning. Dirac was asleep in the back, still healing. His body needed rest, but Rain couldn't rest. He kept hearing the voice from the memory helmet. General Kairos, his old commander. His war hero. His friend. The same man who gave the order to destroy innocent aliens. Rain stood up and walked to the ship's small storage bay. He opened a locked crate and pulled out an old datapad, dusty, scratched, full of ghosts. He opened the message files. There it was. A saved recording. Years old. From Kairos himself. Rain, listen, you'll hear things out there. Rumors, don't believe them. We did what we had to do. For Earth. Rain's jaw tightened. He lied. All of them did. Behind him. Dirac's voice broke the silence. You remember now. Rain didn't turn. I always remembered. I just didn't want to believe it. Dirac walked up beside him. You still have a choice. Stand with them. Or stand with the forgotten. Rain looked at him. I already made my choice, long ago. Suddenly, the ship alarm blared. Incoming signal. Secure channel. Rain opened it. The screen lit up. And there he was. General Kairos, older now, gray beard, same cold eyes. Rain, he said calmly. You've been busy. Rain stared at the screen. I know what you did. Kairos nodded. I thought you might. That's why I'm calling. Dirac stepped forward. Kairos narrowed his eyes. I see it's still alive. It has a name, Rain said. Kairos ignored him. You're in possession of stolen alien memory code. That's treason, soldier. Rain laughed once. You're calling me a traitor. After you made us kill children. Kairos leaned in. We prevented a war. We kept Earth safe. No, Rain said. You buried the truth. And now I'm digging it up. Cairo's voice dropped. You don't know what you're playing with. That alien beside you. Its species built weapons that could erase entire moons. They also built homes, peace, and trust, Durak replied, coldly, until you burned them. Kairos shook his head. You want to be a hero, Rain? Fine. Come meet me. Bring the code. We'll talk face to face. Rain stared. You think I'm that stupid? No, Kairos said, but I think you want answers. And you won't find them flying around with a broken cat. Then the screen went black dot. Silence again. Durak looked at Rain. It's a trap. Rain nodded. Of course it is. But you want to go. Rain didn't answer at first. Then he whispered, I want to look him in the eye. When I break him. 1 hour later. Location. Deep orbit. Kairos command. Ship Rain and Durak arrived in stealth mode. Their ship landed silently, in the hangar of a massive gray vessel shaped like a dagger. No alarms. No guns. Too quiet. Inside the holes were clean. Cold, empty. Rain kept his weapon ready. Where is everyone? Durak scanned the air. Something is wrong. They reached the command chamber. Kyros was there, waiting. Alone. I knew you'd come, he said. Rain pointed his gun. Let's talk. Kairos raised his hands. No tricks. Just the truth. Rain stepped closer. Then talk. Kairos sighed. The war was never about safety. It was about control. The alien race Durak comes from. They had access to knowledge. Older than Earth. Real power. The kind that makes kings nervous. So you killed them, Rain growled. Kairos didn't blink. We made a choice. One species dies. Or many fall. Durak stepped forward. You speak like a god. But you are only a man. Kairos finally looked at him. Your kind would have enslaved us. Durak's eyes glowed. We came to teach. But you chose fear. Rain raised the memory helmet. This holds everything. Every lie you told. Every life you ended. Kairos looked sad for the first time. Then you've already made your choice. He pressed a hidden button. Boom. Gas hissed from the walls. Rain shot the panel. Move. He and Durak ran back toward the hangar. Behind them, alarms screamed. Kairos' voice echoed. If I can't stop you, I'll bury you. Rain and Durak reached their ship, just as the floor collapsed. The engines fired. The ship launched out of the hangar, leaving fire and betrayal behind. As they escaped into the stars, Rain looked at Durak. We're not hiding anymore, he said. Durak nodded. Then we begin. Truth doesn't scream. It whispers. At first. But when it builds, when it gathers, when it's ready, it roars. Rain stood inside the dark chamber of an ancient satellite orbiting a dead planet. His breath was slow, his chest heavy. Durak stood beside him, wounded but alert. Before them, a glowing circular platform. Silent, waiting. This was it. The last place. The last lock. The heart of the code. Rain looked at the helmet in his hands. The mindkeep felt heavier now, like it knew what was coming. Once we start, Durak said, there is no stopping. Rain stared at him. Good. He stepped forward and placed the helmet onto the platform. The floor lit up. Blue lines spread across the walls like veins. Lights hummed. The chamber came alive. And then, voices. Soft at first. Then rising. Old, overlapping, human, and alien. This is Commander Silva. They're not attacking, they're retreating. We received orders to wipe the entire sector. No survivors. They gave us coordinates. We followed. Then we saw the children shut it down. Wipe the record. Nobody talks. Rain closed his eyes. He remembered that voice. It was his own. A recording. Long buried. A moment after a mission. He was shaking. Crying. Speaking to no one. If this is what protecting Earth means. Maybe Earth doesn't deserve it. He opened his eyes. His voice, his guilt was now a part of the record. Keep going, he whispered. The chamber responded. A massive sphere rose from the center. A floating archive of every hidden truth. Names, faces, deaths rewritten as victories. War, crimes labeled as justice. And then, a map. Not of space, but of human trust. Planets where the truth had been buried. Systems where leaders still silenced survivors. Even Earth itself, wrapped in a cloak of comfort. This is what they feared, Durak said. Not weapons, not armies. Just knowledge. Rain touched the sphere. It pulsed. Would you like to broadcast? The message floated before him, in bright letters. Rain paused. If I pressed this, the whole galaxy sees it. Durak nodded. Every colony, every outpost, every world. Rain stared at the button. Then boom. Explosion. The walls shook. Sirens screamed. Durak turned fast. They found us. The ship, their ship, was under fire. A stealth fleet had followed them. Earth's own Black Ops. Silent. Fast. Deadly. We don't have time. Rain shouted. Another explosion. Dust fell from the ceiling. Rain looked at the sphere. Broadcast now. He slammed his hand down. Yes. The lights flashed. The sphere spun faster. Images blasted out to the stars, to satellites, to news networks, pirate signals, rebel feeds. Across the galaxy, the truth began to spread. Meanwhile, Earth HQ top generals screamed at flickering screens. Civil unrest, broken trust, questions. Truth had broken the wall. And General Kairos, he watched in silence. Alone, his secrets were gone, his wars undone. His face darkened. End them, he whispered. Back in space arena, and Durak sprinted through falling corridors. Fire licked the walls. The ancient satellite was tearing apart from overload. Their escape ship was smoking half-dead shields. Down. Rain helped Durak up the ramp. Can you fly this thing? I can try. They launched into space just as the satellite exploded behind them, a dying scream of data and light. Rain sat in the co-pilot seat, coughing, bruised, burned, but alive and free. Durak looked at him. You did it. Rain stared at the stars. No, we did. A silent moment passed. Then a new signal appeared. A fleet, not Kairos, not Earth's. Others. Aliens, survivors, rebels, truth-believers. They had heard the message, and they were coming. War doesn't begin with fire. It begins with silence. A single moment, a breath, where both sides wait to see who will break it first. Rain stood on the deck of the ship. Looking out at space, it was quiet. In front of him, a fleet of ships floated, in formation, alien vessels, old, scarred, powerful, carriers with wings like birds, fighters shaped like sharks, rebel cruisers built from junk and hope. They had heard the truth, and they had come. Behind Rain, Durak stood tall, his body still, damaged, but his spirit steady. He wore no armor, just scars. Are you ready? Rain asked him. Durak nodded. We are not fighting for revenge. We are fighting to end the lie. Rain looked back at the stars. Then let's finish this. Elsewhere, Earth command panic. Earth's military grid had collapsed. Uprisings on Mars. Riots on Titan. A dozen colonies refusing orders. The truth was spreading faster than control could follow. But General Kairos was calm. He watched from his war chair aboard the Ascendant, Earth's most powerful flagship. A new order had been given. Wipe out the truth. Wipe out the voices. Burn everything. Kairos clenched his fist. They want war, he said. I'll give them a lesson they'll never forget. Back in space, the final confrontation. Rain's ship approached slowly. It was not a warship. It was a message. He opened the to Earth's fleet. To the rebels. To every listening world. This is Rain. Former soldier. War survivor. Truth teller. He paused, looked into the camera. You were lied to. So was I. We were told to kill, to obey, to forget. But we remember now. And we will not be silent. Kairos appeared on the other side of the screen. His face was cold stone. Soldier, once. Rain. You should have stayed dead. I did, Rain replied. Until your lies brought me back. Kairos gave a signal. Earth's fleet advanced. Massive. Dark. And armed to the teeth. The rebels responded. Shields up. Weapons hot. Fighters launched. But Rain didn't move. Instead, he walked to the back of his ship. There, in the quiet, sat the final broadcast node. Durak helped him connect it to the main feed. Rain took a breath and sent the last file. Not weapons, not threats. Testimonies. Voices of soldiers, of children, of humans and aliens who had seen the truth. Billions watched, and something happened. Ships stopped firing. A rebel ship on Earth's side powered down its cannons. Then another, a pause. And then Earth's fleet split in half. Half turned against Kairos. Half followed him. Rain's heart pounded. It's happening. Kairos screamed orders. Burn them all. Missiles launched. Durak slammed the controls. Rain pulled the ship up hard. Space erupted. Lasers. Explosions. Ship spiraling into fire. But the rebels fought back. Not just with weapons, but with unity. Human and alien crews side by side. Pilots who once hated each other, now covering each other's wings. Rain flew through the chaos like it was instinct. Old skills returned like fire to dry grass. He broke through the defense line and headed straight for the Ascendant. Inside the enemy flagship heroes stood alone on the bridge. Rain burst in, covered in ash and blood. Weapon drawn. You lost, Rain said. Kyros. Turned, no. You just made new enemies. Truth doesn't build peace. It breaks everything. Rain lowered his weapon. Maybe, but now everyone gets to choose. That's freedom. Kyros lunged, fast for his age. But Dirac caught him mid-air, claws at his throat. Rain stopped him. No, not this way. He turned to the ship's main console. Hit one final command. Shut down. The Ascendant's power dropped. Earth's fleet stood still. The war ended with silence. Just like it started. Later, the battlefield cooled. Ships floated in silence. Bodies drifted like falling leaves. Rain and Dirac stood outside their ship, watching the stars. The truth changed things, Rain said, but it also broke things. Dirac nodded. Now they can rebuild. Rain looked up. What will you do? Dirac smiled faintly. I will go home. If it still exists. Rain extended his hand. Let's find out. The two old warriors, human and alien, boarded their ship once more. No medals, no banners. Just survivors, just truth and the stars ahead.